Hi, and welcome back to this week's Parshat Shir on Sefer Netivot Shalom. After Yosef hears the very beautiful and eloquent and impassioned plea of Yehuda not to leave Binyamin in Mitzrayim, the description of what it would do to their father, Yosef can no longer hold himself back and, of course, reveals himself to his brothers in a very emotional and powerful scene. The pasuk in which he reveals himself says, "Vayomer Yosef elechav." Yosef says to his brothers, "Ani Yosef," the big revelation, "I am Yosef." And immediately, without missing a beat, the very next words out of his mouth are, "Ha'od avi chai." Is my father still alive? And the Netivot Shalom addresses himself to the phrasing of this particular statement by Yosef. Ha'od avi chai. Is my father still alive? He says, "Lichora tzarich biur." We would have to understand this a little bit better. Sharei kvar betchila kasher ba'u achim al Yosef b'pam hazos sha'al otam Shalom avichem azaken asher amartam ha'odenu chai. Yosef, when the brothers came down this time, he already asked them about the well-being of their father and whether he was still alive, because the first time they came to Egypt, they told him they had an old father, and so now he followed up on the question. So even without revealing himself to the brothers, he still was able to ascertain whether his father's alive. He knew his father was alive. That's what they already told him, so why is he asking it again over here? Next, he says, "Kein tzarich bir haloshon ha'od avichai lashon yachid madua lo amar ha'od avinu chai." Why does he phrase it, especially after he reveals himself as Yosef, their brother? The very first words out of his mouth are not words that would bring them together as a collective, but divisive words. Ha'od avichai, is my father still alive? What he should have said was, is our father still alive? Ha'od avinu chai. Thirdly, od yeshlom shalom atinu tshuva b'divrei achim al she'elaza. The brothers go on to a whole conversation with Yosef. They can't believe it. It's unbelievable. They're crying. But they never answer the question of whether their father's alive. Why isn't the question answered over here? There seems to be more to this question than meets the eye. The Netivot Shalom says to understand the answers to all of these questions, we first have to understand the nature of the relationship between Yaakov and Yosef. It says that even after Yaakov gets word that Yosef is not coming back, and the brothers show him the bloody coat, Pasuk tells us, "Vayima'en lehisnachem." He refuses to be consoled, and that's a strange phrase. Not surprising that he would refuse to be consoled, because it was a great, great loss for him. But what is the Torah trying to convey to us in that phrase? So the Netivot Shalom says it must be that it was Ratzon Hashem, the desire of Hashem, that aside from the emotional factor, it was Hashem's desire that Yaakov never truly be comforted over the quote-unquote death, or the supposed death of Yosef, that he should never accept that Yosef was actually dead, but that he should continue to consider him alive, to consider him as part of his life. And the reason for that is, as he says here, Dekol Yeshuaso shel Yosef haita mikoach hahiskashrus leYaakov. The entire survival of Yosef in Egypt, physically and spiritually, was dependent upon the fact that he was still connected back to his father Yaakov in a two-way connection. Yosef was connected to Yaakov, and Yaakov remained connected to Yosef. Sho yamakusher liYaakov, Yaakov yamakusher elav. Vayiskashras hazos nishmara yadei sheYaakov lo hishlim im kach Yosef enenu velo mash zichrono milibo. He says the whole connection between them was sustained by the fact that Yaakov never accepted Yosef's death, but he thought he was still alive by never fully being consoled for it. That kept their connection ever more fresh, ever more present, ever more powerful. And that connection was critical for the survival of Yosef in Egypt. And he explains it based on the following analogy. Hu al derech mashal. La'adam shenafal lish'ol tachtiyos. It's similar to a person who falls in the physical world to a very, very deep pit. She'im yesh biyado chevel hamechubar le'izet davar yatziv, ein lo ma lehisyare. If the person falls very deep, but at least he's holding on to a rope that is attached to a very solid anchor somewhere out of this very deep hole, he has nothing to fear. Sheyesh la'od derech lehechaletz mimatzavo, because he always has a path. He always has a lifeline to be able to escape from this very dangerous situation. Achimeno kashur l'shum davar ma garua matzavo. He says, but if the person is not connected to anything, the person doesn't have a rope, the person doesn't have a connection to something stable outside their very vulnerable situation, then they could, God forbid, be lost. How bad, how horrible is their matzav, is their situation. Shekasher nofel, harehu avud legamrei. Once the person falls, they're done. They have no future, they have no hope. The Medrash also gives an interesting, similar mashal to understand this whole relationship between Yaakov and Yosef. It says, "Mashal le'echad sheyamushlach bayam b'hoshila kabarnet et achevel." Similar to a person who falls into the sea, and the captain of the ship throws them a rope. Amar lo tefos chevel zeh. He says, grab this rope, grab this lifesaver. As long as you hold on to this rope, you will be alive. But if you don't have this rope in your hand, you won't, God forbid, remain alive. The whole advice of the captain was grab hold of the rope, grab hold of the lifeline, implying if you remain connected, if the power of connectivity is strong for you, even if you fall into the sea, God forbid, even if you face the most difficult situations of life, you have life. As long as that rope is in your hand. It's because of that rope, that lifeline, that eternal bond and connection between Yaakov and Yosef, that Yaakov never gave up on Yosef and remained and kept that connection alive, that Yosef was successful spiritually and physically in Egypt. It's all based on that connection. And now with that understanding, we can actually answer and understand all of our questions that we raised at the beginning. When Yosef reveals himself, he uses the words Ani Yosef, Ha'od Avichai. I am Yosef. So what is he saying when he tells them I am Yosef? He's not just saying, by the way, you didn't recognize me before, it's me, it's Yosef. What he's saying is, I'm the same Yosef. Ani Yosef. I'm the Yosef you remember from way back when. Just like I was back then, so I still am now. After all I've been through, after I rose to this position of power in Egypt, I've still remained the same. And then he adds Ha'od Avi Chai, as if to say, Avi Sheli, my father, is my father still alive? By telling them those words, what he was really saying is the way that I remain the same Yosef as before is because my father, my connection, Ha'iskashrush Halavi Elai, Ha'odenu Chaya, the Hiskashrus, the connection between my father and me is still very much alive. And that lifeline, that connection, that rope is what allowed me to hold on to something in my deepest and darkest moments. It's what allowed me to survive and to remain the very same Yosef that I was before. The connection between us, the chayim, between me and my father was still very vibrant, very much alive. Now we understand Mufuar Omro Avi B'Lashon Yachid. We understand why he doesn't say Ha'od Avinu Chai, because he's not really asking whether their father's alive. He knows that already. He was told that already earlier in the story when the brothers come down for the second time and they tell him that their father is alive. He knows in the physical realm his father is alive. What he's telling them now is much more than a question. He's not really asking a question. It's a rhetorical question, which is why they never answer the question in our part of the Parsha. He's actually kind of making a statement to them that Ha'od Avichai, how I feel in this moment, that I finally understand that my connection to my father is still very much alive, and that's why I've remained the same Yosef. And that's why he says Avichai, the connection to my father is still alive. He doesn't say Ha'od Avinu Chai, is our father still alive, because he's not talking about their connection to their father. He's talking about his connection. Etzem hadavar ha'im Yaakov Chai kvar Shalom mikodem b'tchilas piyasam. He asked them the question already, is our father still alive? Atah hosif. Now what he's adding is, Ha'od Avichai, how I understand now that our father is still alive. Ha'odenu chai imi, he is still alive within me. His connection to me is still very much alive. So we understand the answer to all of our questions. We understand why he asks the question again, because it's not the same question. We understand why they never answered, because it's not really a question. And we understand why he uses the singular, ha'od avichai, because what he's commenting on is the connection of him and his father, not the connection between the brothers and the father. With this understanding of this piece of the Parsha and this pasuk, we can actually understand something that happens later in the Parsha as well, in terms of the connection of Yaakov and Yosef. When the brothers come back to Yaakov to tell him that Yosef is still alive, the pasuk says, "Vayavo el Yaakov avihem, vayagidu lo le'emor ha'od Yosef chai." They come back to their father and they say to him, "Our Yosef is still alive." V'chihu Moshe b'chol eretz Mitzrayim, and he's controlling all of the land of Egypt. And the pasuk tells us, "Vayafag libo ki lo ha'amin lahem." Yaakov was stunned; he didn't believe them. Vayidibru elav es kol divrei Yosef shediber lehem vayaras hagalos, etc. He tells them the whole story. They tell him the whole story of what happened to Yosef and everything that he said to them and everything that transpired. And he sees the agalos, the wagons that Yaakov sent him. And the end of the pasuk is V'atechi ruach Yaakov avihem. He saw the agalos and his spirit is lifted. He becomes alive again, filled with life when he sees those agalos. That's when he finally accepts the fact and believes in the fact that Yosef is still alive. Chazal very famously explained that the reason why the sighting of those agalos was the sign for him that Yosef was truly alive was because when he had left so many years earlier, they were learning together the sugya of Egla Arufa. There was a play on the word agalos, is a hint for Egla, which is why Yosef sent him these agalos. When Yaakov sees them, he sees the sign that Yosef was sending him. Just like we were learning Egla Arufa all those years ago when I left, when I disappeared, it's still me. I'm still here. We're picking up exactly where we left off. Now, it's interesting. That's a Gemara, Sota, but further explanation of that Gemara, the Maharal provides for us. And he says that there's some interesting connection here to the actual halacha of the Egla Arufa. The Egla Arufa is sacrificed in the Nachal Esan. It's in response to the fact that they find a person who's dead between two cities. The elders of the city go out and they say, Yadeinu lo shafchu es adam hazeh, ve'einenu lo ra'u. Our hand didn't spill this blood. And the Gemara tells us that what that actually means is shelo patrinuhu below leviyah, that we never sent him out of the city without an escort. So the Maharal asks, what's the connection of lack of escort to Yadeinu lo shafchu es adam hazeh? Why would sending someone out of a city without an escort be tantamount to spilling their blood? And he says here, Dihine yachid ein alav shmira, because a person who's alone has no protection. They're vulnerable. A person who's connected to others in a deep way has a shmira. They have a protection. In a similar way, Yaakov, as he sends Yosef away to Shechem to check on his brothers, the pasuk tells us, it says that he left them Vayishlacheu me'emek Chevron. The Sforno explains on that pasuk that he sent him from Emek Chevron because he had given him levaya, he had escorted him all the way to Chevron. That Yaakov provided Yosef with an escort out to where he was going, ultimately to Mitzrayim. That escort was not just a physical one, escorting him part of the way, but it was an escort that lasted all those years. It was an escort that kept the connection and the kesher between them alive. It was the rope and the lifeline that Yaakov threw to Yosef as he was going down to Egypt, that he kept hold of the entire time, keeping him anchored in the home of Yaakov, keeping their connection alive and allowing Yosef to be successful spiritually and physically and not be vulnerable to the physical and spiritual elements around him. And when Yaakov sees these agalos, he's reminded of Egla Arufa. And he was reminded of Egla Arufa, he's reminded of the concept of giving someone a levaya, giving someone an escort out of the city. And he's reminded of the fact that he gave Yosef an escort out of the city. And he's reminded now and enlightened to the fact That escort, that his kashrus, that vayima'en lehisnachem, that ability to never be comforted over the loss of Yosef, to always believe he was alive, kept their connection alive. It was the ultimate levaya. It was the ultimate escort. It was the rope that kept them connected. And it was the rope that enabled Yosef to be successful, so that he can now believe, I can believe it now, that Yosef is alive, and that Yosef is Moshe al Kol Eretz Mitzrayim. That's what caused him to understand the situation, to grasp it, and to be able to believe that it was actually true. Connecting these two parts, Netivot Shalom says, is brilliant. The answer to the Od Yosef Chai question is, Yaakov and Yosef were eternally connected through this kesher. And Yosef was commenting on that when he realized that the whole story was coming true, and he saw his brothers, I'm the same Yosef. I'm the same Yosef because of the connection to my father. And when he sends word back to his father, the clue that he gives his father is, the kesher is still alive. The kesher you gave me when you escorted me is still alive, and that enabled me to be successful. Now come down and see me. It's a beautiful concept, not just to explain this story, not just to explain Yosef's revelation, Aud Avichai, not just to explain the connection of the Agalos back to the Egla Arufa, but just for us in general, to take a lesson, as the Netivot Shalom says, the whole Parsha teaches us, the Torah Kedosha teaches us, how to sustain ourselves in the most difficult moments of life. As long as a person remains connected to some place, to some people, to some idea, to some kind of anchor, and is not alone, the person can sustain themselves at all times. As long as you have that rope in your hand, as long as you have a lifeline and an anchor somewhere holding you, connecting you, you can always pull yourself back. You can always reach a better place, a more successful place. Each of us has to try to find our anchor in Torah, our anchor in community, our anchor perhaps in family and friends and people and role models, anchors that keep us connected, because life is tumultuous. Life goes up and down. In life we find ourselves in a bor tachtis. We find ourselves in deep holes and difficult places and dark moments. And all of us need that kesher. We need that rope and that lifeline. We need that levaya. We need that escort in life to constantly stay with us and keep us connected to the things that we value most, so that we can always remain alive and filled with chiyus, filled with life, filled with energy, filled with vitality, and filled with the connection that never allows us to fall too deeply into the darkness of the whole. Shabbat Shalom.